Flosstube. Thanks for stopping by my channel. My name is Shiloh and I'm a cross stitcher, knitter, and crocheter living in Nova Scotia, Canada. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as @Xstitchmd, and I'll have links to those profiles below along with a link to a Google Doc that has all of the information about the projects I'm working on because, spoiler alert, there has been a lot. It's been a few months since my last video. It was a very busy summer filled with lots of crafting, lots of family time, and lots of getting ready for a baby. So currently I am 38 and a half weeks pregnant, ready to get this baby out, and figured I might as well film a Flosstube video now because it might be a while before I have the energy to do another one. You'll probably also notice that my setup behind me looks a little bit different. We have been doing a bunch of rearranging in our house to get things ready for a nursery, which was a lot of fun, and then we ended up buying a house. So all of this is going to be moved. So this is was originally a spare bedroom and my craft room. We were able to clear out the spare bedroom so that we could just make it more of a craft room. So I'm loving this storage unit behind me where I can actually display some of my yarn and stuff. And yeah, wouldn't necessarily recommend closing on a new house the day after you're due, but that's what is happening here. So it's going to be a really busy October, that's for sure. So we'll see what happens. But my next video will be in a new location and with a baby. So lots of amazing things about to happen. All that being said, I have been doing a lot of stitching because I can't really, nest in other ways, aka set up a nursery because we're moving. I've been doing a lot of crafting and trying to get a lot of projects finished just to get them out of project bags, free things up, and then I could have a bunch of new starts. So I have 9 finishes, oh my goodness, to show you since my last video. And then I've also had a bunch of new starts this month. I started maternity leave last week. I had a couple weeks of vacation saved up to take before my official maternity leave starts because that doesn't start until the baby's born. So for the past week, I have started a bunch of things and really been enjoying just being able to relax, although at a certain point you do get a bit bored and you're just like, okay, let's get this baby out. So we will see what happens. But in the meantime, I have a bunch of finishes to share, a bunch of whips, and a bunch of new starts. So let's dive right in. So we'll start with my biggest finish. This is Fruits of Plenty by Modern Folk Embroidery, and it is done. This was a extremely long-term whip. It was the 2021 mystery, or it wasn't a mystery, it was a 2021 yearly stitch along by Modern Folk Embroidery, and it languished for a while. I had lost it for a while, found it behind a drawer, but it is finally done. I'll show you a close-up of the bottom because that's what I had been working on. That was the last bit to finish, and I am so thrilled with how it has turned out. I am wanting to get this framed, but I was waiting to show it here first. So I finished this back in May, and it was so satisfying to put those last stitches in because this was a project that was 4 years in the making. So I stitched this with my own chosen colors. So the lighter color is DMC 3726, and the darker color is DMC 902. I used 2 strands of DMC on 36 count Ash Rose Linen by Zweigart. And I just love it. These parts were my favorite to stitch. This, I think it's called a CC work. And yeah, it's just beautiful. I love this. This is the first of the stitch alongs that I've actually finished, although I have started almost all of them. And I couldn't be happier with how it turned out. So this is a finish, will be framed, and we do not know the sex of the baby. We're waiting to find that a surprise, but if it is a girl, I think this will go in its room because it's so beautiful. And if not, our new house has a lot more wall space, so I'm sure I can find a wall to put it on. So that is my Fruits of Plenty. This next project had also been lingering for a while, so it was time to finally get it out and get it done. So this is All She Surveys by Little Robin Designs. I had started this June 10th, 2023, and I finished it May 30th, 2025. I used all the called for colors, which is a mix of different over dyes. So Weeks Dyeworks, Classic Colorworks, Gentle Art. I used 2 strands over 2 on 36 count winter white linen from Seraphim. And again, love this. So cute. I love the difference in perspective with those giant butterflies and then the tiny little house and the girl riding the horse. I just love how this turned out. So very happy with this and good to get a 2-year whip cleared out because this should not have taken me 2 years. This next piece was not a lingering whip. This was a new start that I finished in a matter of a couple of days because it was just so cute and I could have put it down. So this is Strawberry Fair by October House Fiber Arts, and I started this June 4th, 2025, finished it June 8th. And it is so cute. I stitched this on 40 count Ren linen from Picture This Plus. I used all the called for threads and stitched it 1 strand over 2. And I stitched this as part of the Marjorie Made Stitches Strawberry Moon stitch along. And I just love it. Like, how cute is that strawberry with that little pattern? It is so adorable. So that was a finish. This next finish was originally started at the 2023 Jacobpalooza retreat in London, Ontario. This was one of the exclusive projects for that retreat, which has since been released because it was 2 years ago. So I had started this at the retreat, worked on it for a little bit, got a bit bogged down in the over 1, and then finally pulled it out and decided I was going to just get her done. And I did. So here is how it looks. So this is In Friendship by Modern Folk Embroidery. I used Roxy Floss Co. Untoward, which was a one-of-a-kind red. Stitched 2 strands over 2 on 32 count Speculas linen from Roxy Floss Co. I started this October 13th, 2023 and finished it on July 12th, 2025. And I love it. So I have my initials, my husband's initials there, and then I decided to put the year I finished it just because, you know, why not? So yeah, very happy with how this turned out. This will definitely need to get framed ASAP. Again, I was waiting on bringing all of these to the framer until I showed them here first. So I think my framer is going to be very happy when they see me coming with all of these pieces. This next finish was also a 2021 start, so it was far overdue for it to be finished. So this is Made to Create by Caterpillar Cross Stitch. And I had gotten this as a full kit from Caterpillar Cross Stitch. They had very kindly gifted it to me, and I was stitching along, and then at some point, you know, fell off the wagon, didn't keep up. It lingered for years. So this is all of the kit included supplies. So it is DMC, stitch 2 over 2 on 32 count light mocha linen from Zweigart. I started it January 30th, 2021 and finished it August 6th, 2025. I did leave off the border. So if you look at the pattern cover photo, there's like a black border all the way around that kind of looks like photo corners, and I just preferred how it looked without that. But yeah, I'm very excited to get this framed and to go have it in my new craft room, which I am so excited about because in our new house there are enough bedrooms that one of the rooms can be my dedicated craft room without also needing to be an office slash spare bedroom slash any of the other things. So I'm very excited to get some of my crafty stitchy pieces framed and hung up in there. All right, my next 4 finishes are less embarrassing to talk about because none of them are more than a year old. So, you know, smaller pieces and were taking me years and years to finish. So this one is You Got This by the Artsy Housewife. It is my first finished Artsy Housewife, but not my last. I had started this June 12th, 2024. And a fun memory I have of this is that I started this shortly before we went to Idaho for my brother's wedding. My youngest brother lives in Idaho with his wife, and they actually just announced that they are pregnant and due on my birthday in February. So that is very exciting. But yes, so I had started this shortly around that time, and I remember working on it in our Airbnb in Idaho, which was fun. So I started June 12th, 2024, finished August 10, 2025. I used, I believe, all of the called for threads, except I didn't have the Weeks Dye Works in this darker green, so I substituted a Roxy Floss Co. The Wiz for that, which I think turned out fantastic. I love the variegation in the mug. I stitched this 2 strands over 2 on 32 count vellum linen by Picture This Plus. I'm really having like a moment with 32 count linen, which you'll see with a bunch of my new starts. I'm just really enjoying how intense the coverage is with 2 strands. Like, you just get so much more depth of color, and I'm just really enjoying 32 count because it's just so easy to see, so easy to work on. So yeah, a bunch of my projects are on that. That being said, though, the other day I did pull out an old whip on 46 count and loved that. So I just love stitching on all the counts. So speaking of the Artsy Housewife, this was my second Artsy Housewife finish, and I am absolutely obsessed with this. Like, the colors, the fabric, everything is just absolutely amazing. So this is Summer Feels by the Artsy Housewife. I stitched this on 32 count Lilac Amour Lugana by Hand Dyed by Rolanda. And you can tell as my camera completely adjusts the colors as I move it, it's a little bit hard to pick up. That's probably closer to the color there. It's a very like warm purple, and it's so pretty. So I used all of the called for threads, which are mostly Gentle Art and some Weeks. It's so crazy how it keeps changing colors. Stitched 2 strands over 2. I started this May 31st, 2025 and finished August 19th, 2025. Yeah, I love stitching these pairs. The shading in them is so beautiful. And this just was so fun to stitch because it just has so many bright colors that I don't normally work with. And working with them on this chart, I was just like, I want to stitch all the bright, fun, happy things. So yeah, I'm very excited to get that framed, and I feel like I want to use like a white frame to really pull out the bee's wings there. But yeah, this was such a fun stitch. This next finish was a piece I had started for Sampler September last year and really wanted to get it finished before September of this year. So I put in a lot of work monogamously and got it done on August 31st, the day before Sampler September. So this is September's Return by Maximum Cross Stitch. And if you're familiar with the chart, you know that it has an alphabet. However, I really wanted to include this quote. And so I had reached out to Ellen to ask if she had like a lowercase alphabet I could use to chart the quote. And instead, Ellen just charted it for me, which was so sweet of her. So yeah, I am very happy with how this turned out. I started this September 3rd, 2024, finished it August 31st, 2025. It's stitched on 36 count vintage country mocha linen from Zweigart. I stitched it 2 strands over 2 with all of the called for Roxy Floss Co. threads. I just adore these adorable little houses. They are so cute. It was really fun to stitch all of these vegetable fields. You could really get into a rhythm once you started. You can really see the variegation in those acorns there. So yeah, that was a very fun piece, and I'm glad I got it done before Sampler September this year. Finish number 9, I finished yesterday, so it's hot off the press. This is Stitchy Bug by Boomerang Stitches. Cute, tiny, adorable little piece. It was so fun to stitch. I used the Roxy Floss Co. conversion done by Floss Boss Hannah, available through Evertote, and I've stitched this on 32 count Powder Puff linen by Roxy Floss, which is a very, very pale pink, which is hard to tell in this camera, but trust me, it is a pale pink. This was so fun. And again, I want to frame this and put this in my future craft room. I started it September 4, 2025 and finished it September 19th. So that is my little stitchy bug. So cute. So those are all the finishes I've had. And like I said, I'm very excited to get those framed and hung up to use up some wall space on our new house. I do have a ton of works in progresses that I've also been working on. So let's go through those. We'll start off with the works in progress that were already works in progress before, and then I do have a bunch of new starts that have happened over the past few weeks. Because I have so many whips to show you, I'm also going to show you the project bags they're in, because otherwise, if I took them out of the project bags beforehand, I'm worried everything's going to get mixed up. So you get to see all my project bags too. So this one is living in a project bag from Evertote, which is their, I think it's like a medium, or no, it's the small size, and I love this print. So in here is The Lady Garden by Long Dog Samplers. I've been working on this one for a little while because it is a rather large piece, and I think I'm over the halfway mark now. So this is being stitched on a 38 count legacy linen, and I'm using Roxy Floss Co. in the colorway Planetarium, which is a really beautiful deep navy color. And most recently I was working in this bottom section here, so I got my initial in. I just love that bunny and the squirrel. It's been a lot of fun to work on. It's a really nice, relaxing piece, one color, beautiful. This next one is also living in an Evertote project bag. And this is the Unicorn Pin Cushion by Modern Folk Embroidery. And I had purchased this as a kit from Evertote. Excuse my dangling threads. I believe it's still available on their website. So this kit comes with the fabric, which is a 28 count even weave. The color is called Mountain Jewel. And the floss, let me double check what it is Roxy Floss Co. Milkshake. So you got a couple of skeins of that, which mine look extremely ratty. So it's like a very, very pale pink, which honestly on this fabric looks white, but it is a very pale pink. And yeah, I just have a bit of a start on that. I did put the year in, which may have been, might have been jumping the gun there, but it's been really fun to stitch. I really love that unicorn. And this is a piece I'm hoping to pull back out soon because it's not a huge piece, so it could be finished quickly. There is another border right here that I have to do, but otherwise it's just mirroring this on this side. So not too much to go. Next up, we have a project living in a project bag from Sheba Designs, which you will see a theme with my project bags. They are Evertote, Sheba Designs, and Samply Stitched. So this is Corner and Curves by Rosewood Manor. I'm stitching it on 45 count Foxtail Millet by Legacy Linen. And this piece is so fun to work on and so fiddly because there are about 5 million color changes. I did take the time to import it into markup, and so I scanned the chart, I matched up the grids, I lined everything up. That took forever, but it has made it so much more enjoyable to stitch because I can really easily highlight the colors and see every location that they are. So I'm stitching this one strand over 2 with all the called for weeks dye works, and it is a really fun stitch. The colors are just very different from what I usually use in terms of the oranges and the blues, but they are just so beautiful. So this is going to be a long-term project. It's large, even on 45 count, it's still going to be quite a big size. And like I said, a bajillion color changes. The other thing I'm finding is maybe I need to use a slightly bigger needle because I am finding that my weeks dye works is shredding quite a bit going through this fabric. I'm using a 28 needle, size 28 on 45 count, which usually would be fine, but I'm wondering if it's maybe it's an older needle or something, but I'm just finding the Weeks Dye Works is shredding so much, which makes it very frustrating to stitch. So any tips on that, I'd love to hear. I might try a different brand of needle or something with a slightly bigger eye to see, but I do find in general Weeks Dye Works does tend to be way more shreddy than other thread types, so that might also be a factor. This project is so fun, full of bright colors, always makes me smile. It is living in this beautiful project bag that my friend Elizabeth Ann Stitch made when a bunch of us started Cherry Magpie together at Stitch North 2025. Love this project bag. It matches perfectly with the gorgeous colors of Cherry Magpie, and here is where I'm at on that. So I'm stitching this with the Roxy Floss Co conversion on 40 count Temptation linen, which is as bright and punchy as it looks on camera. It's absolutely gorgeous. The colors in this are just so fun and amazing and beautiful, and I love it. I'm so excited for the companion piece, which I'm sure most of you have seen, Blueberry J, which was just released at Needlework Marketplace. I am not so patiently waiting for the PDF to come out because I just much prefer stitching from PDFs. But I have most of the colors already for the Roxy Floss Co conversion, had to purchase a few extra. And I am planning on stitching it on the called for 40 count malachite linen from Fiber on a Whim, which I got from 123 Stitch the other day. So just waiting for it to be October. So not only will I have a baby, but I can start Blueberry J in my sleep deprived state, which is probably not a good idea. But yeah, I'm excited for that. I had these grand plans of finishing Cherry Magpie before I started Blueberry J, but like there's just too many other things I want to work on, and so I'll just work on both of them. This next whip is the last of my whips that were previously whips, aka not a new start since my last video. This is Chircha and Gearcha, which was also an exclusive project at the 2023 Jacob Palooza retreat, now been released, and my copy is signed by Jacob. It's just slightly bigger than In Friendship, which is why I haven't finished it yet. It is living in this project bag from Evertote. And I pulled this out just the other day because I was really craving working on a small count linen. This is on 46 count. So I figured for Sampler September, I might as well work on a sampler. I've had a bunch of new starts this month, but they haven't really been sampler-esque. So here is where it's at. So this is the section I was working on most recently. And one thing I'm doing, like this is a reproduction sampler, but I'm changing all of the initials and dates to be meaningful to me. So everywhere there's like a TK, which was the original stitcher's initials, I'm replacing it with SG, which are my initials. So you can see I did that here and here. I put in 2025 for the year. So I worked in this little chunk most recently. So I've made it all the way across the width of the sampler. And I mean, this is 46 count and it's still quite massive. So there's still a ton to do on this. And I think I mentioned it's 46 count linen speculas, and I'm using all the called for Roxy Floss Co threads. It's a lot of fun to work on. These Frisian letters are so time consuming. Hence you can see why I kind of abandoned them at one point and just was doing stitching the motifs instead. But I do need to get to them because there are three lines of them that I need to do, and I'm only like here. So long-term project, a lot of fun, and I just love how teeny tiny and delicate the stitches are on 46 count. It's so pretty. All right, next up I have 5 new starts to show you. I had really focused in August on finishing pieces and had finished 4 with the plan I was going to start a bunch of new things in September. And so technically I've started 6, but I finished Stitchy Bugs, so I got to knock that off the list. But these are the other 5 whips that I have started. I may start another 1 or 2. All depends on when the baby comes and if I have time. This first one is from October House Fiber Arts. So this is Garden Sass, and I've been waiting for this project to come out as a PDF for like over a year, and it finally did. So this is living in a Sheba design bag. Beautiful. And I am stitching this on a 32 count linen by Under the Sea Fabrics. The colorway is London Fog. I just have a tiny little start on this so far, but it's a really pretty blue fabric. I'm using all the called for colors, which are Weeks Dye Works and Classic Color Works. I really think they just pop on this fabric, especially that white. So yeah, just a teensy tiny start. It's not a huge chart. I am hoping to get some more stitches on this. My goal was to get at least 1,000 stitches on all of my new starts, so it's like actually a solid start. This one has about 500 stitches so far, so I am due to put some more work into it. This new start is living in the project bag from Sampler September from last year, which you can see the little houses on it, just like the September's Return piece. This project is a Summer Gothic sampler by Cam from the House of Cam. And when I saw this, I knew immediately I wanted to start it. I actually had the called for fabric in my stash because I had purchased it with the plan of stitching Jed Xstitch, the green bungalow. Words are hard. The green bungalow piece, which was just released at Needlework Marketplace. So thankfully, each only needed 1/8 of fabric, so I still have the other 1/2 of a quarter for the green bungalow chart, which again, waiting not so patiently for it to be released in October. But yeah, this is a gorgeous fabric. It's Muted Sedona by Fiber on a Whim, and that's actually showing up really true to color there. 32 count. I'm using all the called for DMCs. Oh, it's washing it out a bit there. There we go. All the called for DMCs, and I love this house so much. The colors are so good. That pale aqua and the pinky purple, it's just amazing. This has been so fun. I couldn't put it down when I started it, and I'm just like, I'm absolutely loving it. So stitching 2/2 with the called for DMC on 32 count because I'm having a moment with 32 count. So yeah, I'm absolutely loving working on this. And Cam, I'm wondering if this is going to be a series. No pressure, but I think it should be a series. Speaking of Jed Xstitch, I do have a new start of a Jed Xstitch piece, currently living in this Samply Stitched project bag. This chart is called A Summer's Day and was an exclusive at the Midsummer Stitch by Lindy Stitches. So I don't think it'll be available again until next year. But I literally signed up for the Midsummer Stitch solely so I could buy that pattern, among other things. I just have a teensy little start on it so far, but the colors are beautiful. Again, this is that's probably more accurate to the color. This is being stitched on 32 count Dolomite linen by Fiber on a Whim with all of the called for threads, which are, I think there's Classic Color Works and there's a couple Gentle Art. Yeah, it's beautiful. Again, I probably only have about 500 stitches, so I need to give this a little bit more attention to get up to my intended 1,000 for my new starts. But it's beautiful. I also am thinking if I have a girl, this would be great in its room. Problem is if I have a boy, I have like no stitch pieces for its room, so we'll see. Maybe we'll just put the pink things in its room anyway. So now I'm having a bit of a moment with Boomerang Stitches, where I started this project European Bee Eater. I also am hoping to start their other pattern City Lights soon, but we'll see if it's this month or sometime in the future. So I have this one living in a Sheba Designs project bag, which I thought coordinated nicely with the colors. And this one I was just working on last night, so there's some dangling threads, apologies. And here it is. So this has been really fun to stitch, this honeycomb here. I am stitching this on 32 count Maritime White by Lakeside Linen, or sorry, Attic Lace by Lakeside Linen. I'm using the Broxy Floss Coat conversion available on their website. And I love how it's turning out. It's really fun to stitch, The color shading there is just so beautiful. I love it. There are like a absolute bajillion colors in this. So, and most of them are only used for a few stitches, like 100 or less. So I had a lot of these colors already in my stash, but just to be aware, if you are buying the floss pack for this, it is a bajillion colors. Also available in DMC, so you could do that as well. But that has been really fun to work on. This one is my most recent new start, which I started, I think, 2 days ago. So this is a daily reminder by Brenda Gervais. And I had purchased the called for fabric, the 36 count arboreal. So when Liz, Elizabeth, and Xstitch and I were at Stitch North 2025, we ended up ordering the fabric together because it was a lot cheaper to ship to her than to ship to me. So this project's living in this Evertote bag. And I just have a small start on this. Again, I think about 500 stitches. So I want to add more to this. And oh, I got a dangling thread here. But I really love how this is looking so far. So I'm stitching it on 36 count arboreal linen. That's the color of it. And I have the roof of the house and the start of a window there. So I'm using 1 strand on 36 count, which normally I use 2 strands, but because this is a hand dyed and it's a dark hand dyed, I feel like the fabric is a little bit tighter, and so I am liking how the single strand is looking. I'm using all the called for threads, so there are Weeks Dye Works, Gentle Art, Classic Color Works, Classic Color Works and DMC. And that is my daily reminder. I'm excited to get to the alphabet around because it's all Smyrna crosses, and I really do enjoy working Smyrna crosses. I thought that was all my whips to show you, but I remembered I forgot to pull out my full coverage piece, which I have been working on quite a bit lately. This is Capri Morning by Artisy Designs, and this is a project that my husband asked me to stitch for him. He always wants full coverage pieces stitched. I gotta work on this because they take so long. This is a smaller one though. The total stitch count is 72,000 stitches, so not as giant as Bewitched Park, which I stitched for him. That was 187,000 stitches. But here is where I'm at. So I've actually worked on this quite a bit in the past month, so made some good progress. And you can actually start to see things coming together. We got a bench here, we got some bushes, there's some brick, and then there's gonna be more of like a house here. I'm using all the called for DMC 1 strand over 1 Aida block, and this is 20 count pearl gray Aida. And I'm really liking the coverage of the single strand on 20 count Aida. So yeah, a lot of fun to stitch. As you can see, a lot of confetti stitching, but it is very enjoyable. So I will continue to work on this as the mood strikes me. So a bit of a whirlwind tour through all I've been working on lately. I have been working on some knitting and crochet projects, but I'll save those for a future video or post them on my Instagram. Really wanted to just keep it to all the cross stitch stuff because that's what I've been mostly obsessed with lately. I'm hoping to be back with a video sometime in the future, but who knows when. It'll all depend on how things go with the baby and life and moving and all of that. But if you want to stay posted for updates, I'd encourage you to follow me on Instagram because I'll definitely be posting lots of pictures there. Well, until I see you next, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for all your lovely comments. And it's so nice to be part of this community, which is so uplifting and encouraging. And I will see you when I see you. Bye.